Deep inside the forests of southeastern Massachusetts, something ancient waits in silence. The Bridgewater Triangle, a zone of paranormal terror stretching across 200 square miles. For centuries, locals whispered about lights in the sky above the Bridgewater Triangle. Hikers entered the Hockomock Swamp and simply never returned to civilization. Police officers reported enormous black creatures gliding silently above Bridgewater treetops. This is not a legend. These are documented reports filed with Massachusetts state authorities. What is the Bridgewater Triangle hiding beneath the ancient trees and stagnant black water? Tonight, we journey into America's most terrifying and unexplained geographic mystery. The Bridgewater Triangle sits in Plymouth County, Massachusetts, first mapped in 1970 by researcher Joseph DeAndre. DeAndre spent decades cataloging every strange event inside this cursed triangular zone. The three corners of the Bridgewater Triangle are anchored by Abington, Rehoboth, and Freetown. At the center of the Bridgewater Triangle lies the dreaded Hockomock Swamp. The Wampanoag people called Hockomock Swamp the place where spirits dwelled for thousands of years. The Wampanoag considered the Hockomock Swamp a sacred boundary between the living and the spirit world. When English colonists arrived in the 1600s, local tribes warned them to never enter Hockomock. The colonists ignored every warning, and strange events began almost immediately inside Bridgewater. Livestock vanished overnight near the edges of the Hockomock Swamp with no tracks, no trace. Colonial journals described an oppressive, suffocating darkness descending over Bridgewater settlements at night. By the 1800s, the area surrounding Hockomock Swamp had earned a dark, sinister reputation. The Bridgewater Triangle had become a place where rational people refused to venture alone after dark. The disappearances inside the Bridgewater Triangle began long before modern records were kept. In 1947, a young man named Harold vanished while hunting near Hockomock Swamp. Search parties combed every inch of Hockomock Swamp for 3 weeks. Harold was never found. Harold's case became the first officially documented vanishing inside the Bridgewater Triangle zone. Between 1960 and 1990, 7 individuals vanished without explanation near Hockomock Swamp. Investigators noted something deeply unusual: no remains, no clothing fragments, no personal belongings were ever recovered. In 1978, a group of college students entered Hockomock Swamp on a camping trip. 2 students from that camping group were reported missing by the morning of the second day. The surviving students described hearing strange rhythmic sounds beneath the swamp water throughout the night. Massachusetts State Police launched a full investigation, deploying helicopters over the Bridgewater Triangle zone. After 11 days of searching, the 2 missing students were never located inside Hockomock Swamp. Their case files remain officially open, marked as unexplained disappearances inside the Bridgewater Triangle. To this day, families of the vanished victims still gather near Hockomock Swamp seeking answers. The Bridgewater Triangle is not merely a zone of missing people, it is a hotspot of impossible creatures. In 1971, Officer Joseph Barbosa was patrolling near the Hockomock Swamp perimeter at midnight. Officer Barbosa watched an enormous winged creature rise silently from the Hockomock Swamp tree-line. Barbosa estimated the Hockomock creature's wingspan at over 12 feet, far beyond any known bird species. Ornithologists consulted by Massachusetts police confirmed no native bird matches the description near Bridgewater. Between 1980 and 2005, 37 separate sightings of giant birds were reported near Hockomock Swamp. But winged creatures are only one chapter in the Bridgewater Triangle's catalog of impossible beings. Freetown State Forest sits on the southeastern edge of the Bridgewater Triangle, and it has its own horrors. Since the 1980s, over 50 reports of a large, upright walking creature have emerged from Freetown State Forest. Witnesses describe the Freetown creature as standing over 7 feet tall with red glowing eyes in the darkness. Plaster casts of enormous footprints were taken inside Freetown State Forest by investigators in 1993. The Freetown footprint casts measured 18 inches long, nearly twice the size of an adult human foot. No scientific institution has ever provided a satisfying explanation for the Freetown State Forest footprint evidence. Above the Bridgewater Triangle, the skies themselves seem to hide impossible secrets at night. The first documented UFO sighting over the Bridgewater Triangle was recorded in 1960. A truck driver named Leonard Tilden watched three glowing orbs hover silently above Hockomock Swamp for 40 minutes. Tilden described the glowing orbs moving in perfect synchronized triangular formation above Hockomock Swamp. Since 1960, over 200 UFO sightings have been cataloged inside the Bridgewater Triangle zone. The Bridgewater Triangle UFO sightings cluster most densely above the center of Hockomock Swamp at night. Harvard-trained physicist Dr. William Haggerty visited the Bridgewater Triangle in 1989 for a formal study. Haggerty's instruments recorded extreme electromagnetic field fluctuations above the Hockomock Swamp surface. The electromagnetic readings inside the Bridgewater Triangle were significantly higher than any surrounding region. Haggerty theorized that the unusual electromagnetic signature of Hockomock Swamp could explain some sightings. But electromagnetic fields cannot explain the vanishings, and that is where the Bridgewater Triangle grows truly terrifying. Freetown State Forest has witnessed something far darker than creature sightings and missing persons cases. In the 1980s, police discovered evidence of ritualistic ceremonies deep inside Freetown State Forest. Investigators found strange symbols carved into ancient oak trees throughout sections of Freetown State Forest. Animal remains were discovered arranged in deliberate patterns inside Freetown State Forest clearings. Local law enforcement in Freetown established a dedicated task force to investigate the forest incidents in 1987. The Freetown Task Force documented over 30 separate incident sites across the forest over 4 years. Sergeant Alan Alves of Freetown Police stated publicly that the forest felt deeply wrong during night patrols. Several officers assigned to the Freetown State Forest Patrol requested permanent reassignment after experiencing unexplained phenomena. Their official incident reports described equipment failures, disorientation, and a powerful sense of being watched inside Freetown. The town of Freetown itself sits on land once considered the most sacred and powerful in Wampanoag culture. Many Wampanoag elders believe disturbing this sacred land created an imbalance that now draws darkness toward Freetown. Scientists and paranormal researchers have proposed competing theories to explain the Bridgewater Triangle phenomenon. Theory 1, the geological theory, proposes that unusual mineral deposits beneath Hockomock Swamp create electromagnetic disturbances. These electromagnetic disturbances inside the Bridgewater Triangle could cause hallucinations, disorientation, and equipment failures. Theory 2 proposes that Hockomock Swamp contains a natural methane gas concentration that creates visual distortions. Methane gas rising from Hockomock Swamp could explain glowing orbs and unusual atmospheric light phenomena. Theory 3, the most unsettling, suggests the Bridgewater Triangle sits on a genuine interdimensional boundary. Quantum physicists acknowledge the theoretical possibility of dimensional boundaries that could distort local reality. Such a dimensional boundary inside the Bridgewater Triangle could explain why missing persons simply cease to exist. No body, no clothing, no trace, as though the Hockomock Swamp simply erased them from physical reality. Native Wampanoag oral traditions speak of a thin place at Hockomock where the boundary between worlds dissolves. Celtic mythology, Norse legends, and dozens of indigenous cultures worldwide describe similar thin places where reality weakens. The convergence of every culture's warning on this precise geographic phenomenon demands serious scientific attention. The Bridgewater Triangle has not grown quieter in the modern era. It has grown more active and more disturbing. In 2012, a trail camera mounted inside Freetown State Forest captured an unidentified thermal signature. The Freetown trail camera footage showed a large bipedal silhouette moving through dense undergrowth at 3 in the morning. Wildlife biologists analyzed the Freetown footage and could not match the gait pattern to any known animal species. In 2019, a drone operator surveying Hockomock Swamp reported complete navigation system failure over the swamp center. The drone was recovered 300 meters from its last known position with no logical explanation for the displacement. In 2023, a hiker named Michael Ferris entered Hockomock Swamp and emerged 4 miles from where he entered. Ferris reported losing 6 hours of time with no memory of the journey through Hockomock Swamp. Time loss experiences inside the Bridgewater Triangle now number in the dozens in documented testimonies. The Bridgewater Triangle remains one of the largest and most persistently active paranormal zones on American soil. No government agency has ever conducted a comprehensive, funded scientific study of the Bridgewater Triangle phenomenon. The forests of Massachusetts hold ancient secrets, and the Bridgewater Triangle refuses to surrender them quietly into the night.